In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Conid Bulkfiller Demonstrator fountain pen. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. So, this is the Conid Bulkfiller Demonstrator, specifically in the regular size. Now, Conid is a pen manufacturer out of Antwerp, Belgium. And I remember when these launched, I want to say 15 plus years ago. I didn't really understand the pen then. I mean, I liked the way that it looked, but I couldn't really get over the high price for something with just, a standard Bach nib. Now, having been told a couple of times you gotta have one of these, I eventually did get one recently, and I've since already sold this pen, so this is no longer my pen. But I want to do a review. I really think this is one of the most overhyped pens. I think it's really well made. I think it's really cool. Let's just walk through the pen and then we'll talk about, what I like and don't like about this pen. I have so many thoughts and feelings about it. I just want to do the walkthrough. So this is a flat top pen. It will stand on the desk, no problem. It's made out of titanium, a clear resin, and Delrin on the grip section. It uses a Bach number 6 titanium nib. They are, however, available or could be ordered with 14 karat gold and stainless steel, and I believe there's a number of different finishes. They tune all of their nibs before they leave their workshop, and I believe you can do custom grinds with them as well. Now, the pen was designed by Francis Goossens. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but I believe that's how you say his name. He is a exceptional fountain pen restorer. I don't know if he's based in Antwerp, if he's based in Belgium or not, but I know he's in Europe. And, the design of this pen, there's a lot of really very cool engineering in this pen. And you can see on the cap end it says Fountain Bell, which was his username on the fountain pen network. Now, the cap, let's start at the finial here. It's very cool looking. I think this is probably two pieces of Delrin, white and black interlocking, which is this is the Conid logo, and it has to do, this is sort of like their locking mechanism that is used in the bulk filling system. So it's a really cool logo, very well thought out. You can't feel it when you run your finger over it. So I'm assuming this is like fitted together, and then they must like machine it so that it's all sort of planed down, but you can't feel any seam here. Very impressive fit and finish. I don't really think there's a bevel here, but it does definitely catch the light on the edge. Maybe it's a very gentle bevel. It doesn't, but I can't like see like, in really much of an angle to it. Now it says Conid, Antwerp, Belgium, because these pens are made in Antwerp, Belgium. Very nice looking engraving. Looks like it's filled with something black. And then we have, like a Delrin ring here. And then we have this one-piece titanium clip, which is very nice looking. It's quite stiff. I don't clip my pens, so I don't really know how well this would clip something, but it's very stiff. I would kind of be scared to use this clip, but there is a bit of a angle to it, but looking at it straight on, it looks pretty much like a crisp rectangle, but it does have a little bit of a round profile to it, and it is brushed and quite a sharp angle on the edge. It does cut in a little bit, and then we have the end of the clip that sits on the cap there. It looks very, very cool. And again, on the cap rings, it says Fountain Bell, Conid Bulkfiller. And then towards the end of the body here, there's a little step down, and you can feel, the transitions between the plastic here and the sort of Delrin and titanium piston knob here. And then you have these two O-rings, which is very interesting at the end, and it actually it's threaded, so let's see how many turns it takes to get off. That's 1.25 it seems like. If you look at the cap, this is a cool piece of design. There's a little like step in the cap here, and it'll sit kind of perfectly in between those two rings. So you have a very secure posting. It is back heavy. It wants to fall out of my hand when it's posted. So I don't personally like using this pen posted. The threading on this pen is really pretty. They're very deeply grooved. It's feels very smooth, not as like luxurious as like my Louis Cartier threading, but it looks very high quality and it feels very high quality. Certainly everything on this pen is finished and made to a very high standard. I do quite like the design of the Delrin grip section. You have from the body, you have this clear part and then it's sort of flat along the top here, and then it's got this hourglass shape in the middle before flaring out. It's a very smooth material, very nice to touch. I will say it does feel quite thin to me. I don't know if it's just the weight of the pen, but in use, I did find the grip section to feel a bit on the smooth or on the thin side for me. Now, the nib is a titanium Bach nib, and in the beginning they had like the standard Bach stamping, and then later they switched to their own engraving. I don't know if this is laser engraved or stamped. When I look at it, it does look laser engraved to me. So not the prettiest of ways to sort of brand a nib, but I do think I prefer it to just the standard Bach design, especially at this price point. I believe the retail price for this pen is 607 euros. I've been on the list to buy one for years and I've never gotten an email about it, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's do the measurements. 131. Posted, let's post it. It becomes really top heavy, so if you have bigger hands, this might work, but I don't really like using this pen posted. 164. Capped, looking at about 138. The section, we'll just check at the widest point here, 11.9, but then at the middle where you really grip it, 10.2, which it's really not that thin, but I think it's just maybe the weight. You do have quite a bit of metal in the back here. Something about it just, for my hand, feels a little bit thin, but I do find the pen to be comfortable. I just noticed, I was like, I would like the grip section to be a little bit fatter. Now let's do some comparisons. Here it is with a current production Omas Paragon. Similar size, the Paragon's longer. Here it is with the TWSBI Eco. The Eco is a little bit longer. A Aurora Optima. So there it is. It's a full-size pen. They do a number 8. They do the king size, which is obviously the bigger pen. Now, okay, we got to talk about the filling system. I forgot to talk about the filling system. So the filling system is, in my opinion, overly complicated, and I don't like it. I mean, I don't like... This bulk filler system is sort of like a cross between a vacuum filler, which I'm no longer a fan of, and a piston filling system. Now, I do think that this is a better filling system than a vacuum filling system, but I like a standard piston filling system better. So to use this, you untwist the blind cap, and so you see this plunger here. This is sort of it disconnected. You see this rod here with a rubber gasket. This is it disconnected from the system. So this is how it would be once the pen is fully filled. But so you unscrew it, and then you keep threading it, and notice that this is going forward or back towards the end of the pen. Then you keep twisting, and now, and I don't know if it's going to show, we are now connected to this outer piece, and we are now moving in place with that. Really hate this pen. Did it work? Okay, there we go. Okay. See, this is why I don't like it. It's, you don't have good positive action with the way that the system is working. It's like I want this to have a hard stop, something that says, "Hey, you're done. We're there." You don't really have that. Now, with use, as you get used to it, this may not be an issue, but I really don't like using this. Okay, so now you would stick this in the bottle of ink and you would draw up all of this ink. And then you would disengage the system. Keep turning. Nope. And now I have to look at the instruction manual again. Okay, here's the manual. So this is getting it undone, all right. So as we can see here, not connected, we're pulling it up, turning it, and now this piece is now connected. And then stick the bottle or the pen in the ink, you draw it up, and then you twist. Okay, so you got to twist, keep turning right, it says. There we go. Okay, so now we're back. And that's how you fill the thing. So, I don't like it. It's just, you get used, I'm sure you can get used to it, but as somebody that uses a lot of different pens, I don't want to have to relearn a whole new system. You know, it's really not that complicated, but it just, I don't love it. That's all I'm going to say. It is innovative. You do kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get, you know, the higher capacity. This holds 2.5 milliliters of ink, you know, with the vacuum filler. You also get essentially what is a ink shutoff valve. So if you're to travel with this thing closed, with the blind cap closed, you wouldn't really have much ink flow, so it's not going to make a big mess. However, when you do write with it, you do need to unscrew this to get the ink flowing, which is an annoying part of a vacuum filler. You don't have like the same pressure buildup, so I don't think you're going to create a gigantic mess when the O-rings fail like you will with a vacuum filler. So I like that. It's a really well-made pen, but I don't need 2.5 milliliters of ink with a pen with a fine nib like this. Now, supposedly these nibs are interchangeable. Maybe they're threaded. I haven't really been able to unscrew this. So, all right, let's just talk about the Conid deal here. I think it's made really well. I like that we have an innovative filling system, even though I think it's too annoying to want to use it. It looks really cool. It's very industrial. A lot of cool engineering went into making this pen. These pens are extremely hard to buy. I don't know how you buy one. They used to be sold through the Conid website. That is no longer the case. It's now sold through penworld.eu. I've signed up for, you know, restock notifications, and I've never gotten one of those. I do believe they made a sort of number 8 size, the king size version of the Minimalistica, called I think the Maximalistica, as relatively new. I wasn't able to buy one. They all, you know, sold out. I've emailed the company about, you know, getting a different nib for this pen, because I don't like a fine nib on a pen with 2.5 milliliter ink capacity. Like, it just will never run out. So, you know, if I inked this, it would be probably inked for like 4 months or something like that before I ran out. And that's just not something I love. But basically, no customer service is available from penworld.eu or Conid directly. So it's an expensive pen with no customer service. I don't want to deal with it just in case it breaks, so I'm letting this go. Now, the retail price of this pen at the moment, as far as I know, is 607 euros, but you can't really buy these. I paid, I think, $1,000 or maybe $1,100 for this, and I've since sold it for more than that. These pens are very hyped. They're hard to get, so the price goes really high. And there's so many good pens out there. I just don't feel like I need this from a company that doesn't support its customers. It's a really cool pen, but I'm going to let it go. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using a Papermine Tomoe River hardcover notebook. This notebook is excellent with fountain pens, and for Blake's broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Okay, I'm going to be dipping this pen because I don't want to deal with the filling system, but the nib is quite a cool nib. Conid Bulkfiller, and this is a titanium fine nib, and this is Parker washable blue. So the nib, if you can hear, it has a bit of feedback and there is a sweet spot to it. But this pen is really nice to write with on smooth paper. There's definitely like a pencil-like feedback to it. The nib is also pretty bouncy, so you can get some nice line variation out of it. So I think I really do quite like the nib. I do wish there wasn't as much of a sweet spot to it, but it's very nice. You get some line variation. If we do reverse writing, I can feel it's quite sharp, but it is very fine, so you do get a little bit of a benefit out of that. Fast writing, we can try some fast writing here. Yeah, I like the nib. I wish I could take it out, and I wish it didn't have this filling system. The nib is really quite nice, so definitely not your standard titanium nib. It has some nice bounce and flexibility to it, and I do like that Conid tunes their nibs. So really a nice writer, a special nib, I think, for sure. Okay, so what are my pros and cons for the Conid Bulkfiller fountain pen? Well, this is a very, very well made pen. The machining, especially on the titanium, is really, really nice. The way the threading works, the way everything fits together, it's a wow, I think, from a build quality perspective. They do have a special, custom filling system that kind of blends a vacuum filler with a piston filler. That's special to this pen. I really like to see innovation in the fountain pen world, and that's quite rare, to be honest. So it's really cool to see that. I like that this is a pen made in Belgium. There aren't too many pens coming out of Belgium. I like that they tune the nibs. The nib on this is really soft and bouncy. It feels special and is very nice to write with. I am also a fan of the designer of this pen, Fountain Bell. He's one of the best pen restorers operating in Europe. So very cool team, I think, behind this. Now, going to cons, I don't really think they're that into making pens. I don't know how many of these they make a year. They are very hard to get. I've been on like a restock notification for these for years, never got one of those emails. I do believe they're still in business. I've tried reaching out to them to get a different nib for this pen through their website, through the penworld.eu website, which is where they are sold now, and through Fountain Bell directly. No response. So I think you're got any problem with this, anything you need serviced, you're not going to get it, which is disappointing for an expensive pen. Now, the other cons, the main thing I don't like about this pen is the filling system. I think it's cool. I think it's well made. I don't like using it. There's no positive indication of when you're engaging and disengaging the mechanism. Now, it is something that I'm sure I would get used to if I used it more, but I don't really care to do that. I rather just let it go to somebody else that will appreciate it. It's just not very nice to fill this pen. Now, it holds a lot of ink. It has a fine nib. You won't be filling this pen very often, but I feel like every time I use it, because there isn't that positive action in it, I'm referring to the manual to make sure I'm not breaking something. So it's just not an enjoyable experience on that end. And because it's a weird filling system that, again, doesn't feel that good to use, and not being able to have it fixed, it's just like, I'm going to let it go. Um, these pens are very hard to get. They do hold their value on the positive side. In fact, they are worth more than they are when they're new. Like this is, I think, a $700 pen new. I paid like $1,000 for it. Typically, they go for more than $1,000. So this will hold its value as long as you don't break it or something, and they don't start making a bunch of them. So that is a rare thing in the fountain pen world, but it's really just, the pen isn't for me. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have a Conid? Do you like Conid pens? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.